So it turns out that one of the biggest, most common claims made by conservative pundits and Republican politicians about President Biden, Donald Trump, and classified documents has been debunked. Ever since the story broke that documents marked classified were found in a private office owned by Joe Biden in between his time of serving as President Obama's vice president and then running for the presidency himself in 2019, Republican politicians and conservative pundits have been taking an unearned victory lap. And many of them have done one of two things. Most of them have tried to peddle this false equivalence between this story involving now President Biden and the story that broke last year, the scandal that broke last year involving former President Donald Trump, despite the many substantive, meaningful differences between these two stories. The fact that, the sheer magnitude of documents involved, right? As of now, we know about 20 documents marked classified that have been found at one of President Biden's former offices, his home in Delaware, versus 300 classified documents found in President Trump's possession after he left office. So the orders of magnitude apart in terms of scale. And an even bigger substantive difference is the fact that not only did President Biden, once he found out the classified documents from his time as vice president were in his possession, not only did he and his team proactively reach out to the National Archives and the Justice Department, they have been compliant and fully cooperative every step of the way, according to reporting. Whereas, in the case of Donald Trump, not only did he not reach out to the National Archives and the Justice Department, he repeatedly, for over a year, for nearly 2 years, was non-compliant, lied to both of these agencies, and resisted lawfully, obtained subpoenas, which then precipitated the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago back in August or September. So these two stories are orders of magnitude apart. But most Republican politicians and conservative pundits have been making this false equivalency. But another thing that many people have done is actually suggest that no. What Joe Biden did is considerably worse than what Donald Trump did. And their central claim is that as president, Donald Trump had the authority to declassify documents, unlimited, absolute authority. As Donald Trump himself said during an interview, trying to, do some sort of save face PR tour, he's like, presidents can declassify things with their mind, even though that's not true. Whereas, these conservatives say, as vice president, Joe Biden had no authority to declassify documents. That's only something the president can do. And you can only, not only is this all over mainstream media, but if you just go to Twitter and just look up Biden Trump declassify, you'll see tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet. And not just from Twitter randos, but from major Republican or conservative leaders. So Dinesh D'Souza, the disgraced historian. Trump had the power to declassify, Biden did not. Marjorie Taylor Greene, only POTUS can declassify docs. The VP cannot. Elise Stefanik, who is the RNC chair, or excuse me, not RNC chair. She took Liz Cheney's position essentially as third in command of the Republican caucus in the House. So Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise, Elise Stefanik. Unlike President Trump, who had the power to declassify documents, then Vice President had no such power. Representative Andrew Clyde. President Trump had the authority to declassify documents, then Vice President did not. But then I saw an article written in the New York Times that said otherwise. And so I was kind of confused, and I wanted to, do my homework on this. I certainly didn't want to make a claim that, I would have to then retract. So I tried to reach out to major legal analysts, and I think they're both former U.S. attorneys, starting with Glenn Kirshner. Said, hey, the latest GOP gotcha on classified docs is the idea that Biden as VP didn't have declassification authority. The New York Times says differently and cites an Obama-era executive order. Can you clarify this? Does the vice president have declassification authority? And unfortunately, Glenn did not respond. So then I tried Barb McQuade, another former U.S. attorney. Hey, Republicans have widely claimed that Biden as VP would not have been empowered to declassify documents. But the New York Times says differently and cites an Obama executive order. Can you clarify this potential gotcha from the GOP? And again, unfortunately, Barb McQuade did not respond. But then Snopes wrote an article about this very topic. And it gets a little awkward for the Republican politicians and conservative pundits. So A Snopes fact check. Do vice presidents not have authority to classify documents? The question surfaced after news broke that 2 batches of classified documents were found at President Joe Biden's Delaware home and former office. And the claim is federal law does not give U.S. vice presidents authority to declassify documents, and their rating is false. So under an Obama-era executive order, vice presidents have the authority to classify and declassify documents just like presidents. And it's Executive Order 13526, classified national security information, published at least on the Obama White House website on December 29th, 2009. Okay? In January, and then of course it goes into context, but yeah, so citing this Obama-era executive order, it turns out that vice presidents do indeed have the power to declassify documents. Under a 2009 Obama-era executive order titled Classified National Security Information, the vice president does have the power to declassify documents while they're in office. The order states the authority to classify information originally shall be exercised by the president and vice president, as well as agency heads and officials designated by the president. It further elaborates who has the authority to classify, yada, yada, yada. As of January 23rd, Tom Blanton, the director of the independent non-governmental organization, the National Security Archive, confirmed with Snopes that the 2009 executive order was still in effect and that the vice president was an original classification authority, in the sense that the elected official could, while still in office, declassify any federal document, including ones other people have designated classified. Kel McClanahan, executive director of the National Security Counselors, a public interest law firm, told us that the vice president can decide to classify a CIA, NSA, USDA document on the spot in the same way that any other original classification authority can. And all original classification of authorities have inherent declassification authority. He added, the president has the power to declassify anything he wants, period. And as a matter of practice in the intelligence community, everyone treats the vice president as having the same power derived from the presidential authority, unless the president specifically says, no, the vice president does not have declassification authority outside of information he created, which has never happened. He added that such a practice has never been challenged to my knowledge. So, this is a big deal, because this has been a central claim. This has been central. This has been key. This has been the snare to the Republican spin machine's bear trap, right? This is their rhetorical trap. See, even if all things else were equal, Donald Trump, when he was president, could declassify anything at any time, even by thinking it. But Joe Biden, as the mere vice president, couldn't do it at any time for any reason. And it turns out that that's not correct. So, obviously, now President Biden has not claimed that he declassified those documents. And the investigation's ongoing as to whether or not he did. But in terms of authority, appealing to authority, I guess at any time, Joe Biden could just claim, well, look, as vice president, I declassified these puppies with my mind. And Republicans won't be able to say shit. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.